Tucker Carlson was in Edmonton, Alberta on the 24th, and the Libs were not happy. Made even worse when Danielle Smith made a comment about the environment minister.
Carlson last night.
I wish you would put Stephen Guilbeault in your crosshair. Is he an engineer? An environmental zealot. He happens to be our environment minister.
And to be fair, she's not wrong, and there are a lot of Canadians that agree with her and some that don't. Like Stephen himself, probably his wife, maybe his kids, you never really know these days. The Libs had this to say.
To bring the mouthpiece of the MAGA conservative far right to Edmonton Centre to spew hate.
To incite violence against people who disagree with you, that's not how things should be done in Canada.
I don't understand how these people sleep at night. Well, to be fair, I don't know if cockroaches actually sleep. But what a wuss. No one is inciting violence. No one is coming to take your toys away, little boy. Okay, so stop crying. Well, the Conservatives are coming to take your seat. But that's in a couple years.
I don't do a screening test to make sure that every person that interviews me matches 100% of what I believe.
This is how it should be. Bring the people you don't like, bring the opposition to the table, or hell, just bring people that have a different opinion. Be open-minded, listen, see what they have to teach you and what you can teach them. Mental growth seems to be lost on the world right now. It's like you have one thought and you have to die with it, or else, you have a bloody change of mind, God forbid, to say, sorry, I messed up, and try and fix it. If the Libs did that, if Trudeau came out and apologized, I mean, too late, it's too late now, but if he had done that before, he probably could have saved his own self. So what do the Canadians really think about all of this? The CBC, the Liberal mouthpiece, had a few things to say as well with their panel.
I mean, dismissing, I think, the political impact. But look, I grew up in the 1990s in the conservative movement when Tucker Carlson was kind of normal, and he has wandered so far away from that. 80% of what he says is sort of perfectly fine political commentary. It's the other 20%. He's become a mouthpiece for Vladimir Putin. He's become an extremist, advancing things like race replacement theory and some really bizarre views. Even at this event, he sort of made a really ugly shot, challenging the Prime Minister of Canada's sexual orientation.
Whoa. Listen, no one is questioning anything. Now, besides, I'm not a fan of Tucker Carlson, okay? His opening speech was just a bunch of, look at all these Canadian things I can list off in 30 minutes, all right? It wasn't profound, it's just pandering, to be honest, wasn't very funny. So I kind of agree with what this guy is saying on this part. It's low comedy, and it's hard to see him as Jordan Peterson's equal on stage, given how intelligent Jordan is, and Tucker, for me, not so much. But let's move into some juicier stuff.
For him, he's a pretty cynical guy who advances some really ugly views in exchange for cash, and he's not a credible person anymore. He used to be years ago, and so he's become this sort of bizarre caricature of what sort of a right-wing person would be, and he's making a lot of money doing it. So I'm frankly surprised that the Premier of Alberta would share the stage with somebody of his character and reputation.
I dislike these shots being taken at Danielle Smith so much simply because she's willing to have a conversation with someone these Libs don't like. The funny thing is, when you want to push these people down or away, people like Jordan Peterson, people like Danielle Smith, people like Tucker Carlson, you end up pushing them together and creating something you hate, which they later reference in the video as like the apocalypse of evil or some nonsense.
At work here, what I thought was interesting was just how terrible Danielle Smith was in defending her own position last night. When Carlson took on Freeland and was talking to Conrad Black pushed back on the accusations of fascism and Nazism. Danielle Smith did nothing. She just sat there and took it all in.
So Conrad did fight back on that.
Tucker, as far as I can see, the governing party in your country now has as its sole claim to resumption of its mandate the equation Trump equals Hitler, which is, of course, so fatuous and outrageous that no person with an IQ in at least double figures could believe it. And it will get the reception it deserves on election day, I think, despite massive efforts at stuffing the ballot boxes. bringing non-existent people onto the voting list. But because of that, I think we should be doubly careful about suggesting that Chrystia Freeland, whom I also know, I've known her for some years, is worse than the Nazis. I mean, she isn't. She's actually quite a nice lady, but she's politically misguided.
I agree good on Conrad for standing for what he really thinks, but of course, I think everyone knows she's not really what he actually called her. Now, is she pure evil incarnate? You tell me. Yes, the answer is yes.
Seems to be core to the Liberal playbook right now. How do you think Canadians view moments like this, or do they even care about something like what we saw in Edmonton and Calgary yesterday?
Well, there's a photo from that event last night that shows Danielle Smith, Jordan Peterson, Conrad Black, and I think it was Tucker Carlson. And to many, many left of center Canadians, that is a representation of the four-horse people of the apocalypse. That is what the Liberals are trying to tap into.
Okay, show of hands, who thinks that? Yeah, I'm sure some crazy lib idiot thinks that, but most people, lib or otherwise, are not that dumb. Right?
But, there is a massive risk for the Liberals in trying to draw a straight line from Pierre Poilievre to Donald Trump to Tucker Carlson, even to draw a line between Danielle Smith and Pierre Poilievre.
It would be insane. It ain't no straight line. It's a wibbly wobbly line going all over the place and just happens to stop on Pierre. Okay, after touching everybody else. The part about this being bad for the Liberal Party is 100% accurate. They're waging a war. Canadians don't really need them to fight. We have too many domestic issues, mounting international issues. Like, they're bringing attention to something that need not be brought to. I was watching Question Period today, and they brought it up. Again. Mostly because they have nothing else to talk about, but still.
We have a statement from Mr. Poilievre's office. Justin Trudeau and his out-of-touch Liberals are yet again twisting themselves in knots to distract from the hurt and suffering they are inflicting on Canadians after 8 years in power. Trudeau's desperate Liberal ministers will say anything in an attempt to distract Canadians and hope they forget about the misery caused by Liberal policies. That's part of the statement that we just got from Pierre Poilievre's office.
100% of this is true. This is what Canadians are really thinking about. I don't really think Canadians give a rat's about Tucker Carlson. All right, well, I don't. They care about the wild, unyielding policies driving our country into the ground. And the libs keep trying to make the Conservatives into some, Canadian MAGA, instead of focusing on what's really going on and trying to fix the country in time to save yourselves from being kicked out of office, essentially being kicked out of office, but basically just not leading the country anymore. With that, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and come back for more.